I'm confident. Thank you.
Brooks credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Is that a joke? Oh, thank you.
Well, that clearly wasn't a joke, and that was Biden's parting words there after.
When it comes to the involvement of President-elect Trump's team, it has been absolutely critical in getting this deal over the line. And it's been critical because, obviously, as I stand here today, this administration's term in office will expire in 5 days. And one of the things that we have always said about this deal is that when you get from stage 1 to stage 2, that the United States, Egypt, and Qatar are the guarantors of this deal. And Egypt and Qatar will push Hamas to stay at the bargaining table and to get from stage 1 to stage 2. And the United States will push Israel to stay at the bargaining table to get from phase 1 and phase 2. So obviously those are promises we cannot make on behalf of the United States for any longer than the next 5 days. And so it's critical that all of the parties to the agreement and the other mediators see that when the United States is in the room making commitments, those are lasting commitments that extend beyond this administration into the next one. I would just say, lastly, I don't know if it's unprecedented to have envoys from an outgoing and an incoming administration sitting at the same table negotiating a ceasefire agreement of this kind. But if it's not unprecedented, it's certainly unusual. And we, of course, thank the Trump team for working with this on this ceasefire agreement. We think it's important that they were at the table.
I got a lot to cover in this video. First, we're going to talk about the peace deal finally arrived for Hamas, between Hamas and Israel. And you see from the intro, Joe Biden attempts to take credit in a very passive way. And then the next clip, you saw one of his advisors or one of his people in his team immediately gives credit to Donald Trump and saying that if it wasn't for Donald Trump's involvement, they don't think this deal would have gone through. Right? And this was the New York Times a week after Trump's victory. They claimed that Trump win is likely to prolong Gaza talks uncertainty. Another major progress on a ceasefire will probably have to wait until after January's inauguration, analyst says. Gazans said that they were divided about whether Mr. Trump can do much to stop the war. Wow. What is this based on? Like, when they say Trump's win is likely to prolong Gaza's talks, what they're basing that on? Trump derangement? This is another example of why the trust in the media is going like this. Because they're making these statements. Oh, it's likely. They make these statements and then reality hits 4 days before Trump gets inaugurated. And Trump, as you know, is very consistent on this. He made it very well known that, hey, if you let me get into office and y'all still having war with Israel, there will be hell to pay.
If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East. And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what...
Remembers that line. And Biden has the goal to attempt to sit here and try to take credit for this. This is craziness. Here we go. I'm going to show you because I want to set up the context because I want to cover Joe Biden's farewell address. And it was a shit show. Sorry, guys, I cursed. It was an ish show. It was that bad. President Joe Biden was asked whether he should take credit for the ceasefire deal, him or former President Donald Trump. He's not former president anymore. It's President Donald Trump to you. Biden, who offered Israel the same ceasefire deal in May 2024, but did not apply pressure as mass killings continue day after day. Response, is that a joke, he added. And here's Glenn Greenwald, which I think he's pretty objective. And he's not scared to be critical of Israel government, okay? No one's a Jewish hater. No one's anti-Semitic for criticizing the Israel government. I got that out of the way. The Israeli media reported that Israel accepted a peace deal because of Trump. The Israeli right says that Trump blames Trump for it. Even anti-Trump outlets in the U.S. like the New York Times says Trump was a key factor. Only if Biden insists he got it done. A huge consequence, a huge coincidence. It never happened until Trump won. Exactly. And this is the funny part. People called it. The minute I saw notifications from the Daily Wire that Hamas and Israel agreed to a ceasefire and releasing of hostages, I said, oh, the Democrats are going to try to take credit for it. and this is something I stated early in my channel and consistently on my channel, is Democrats find every opportunity to try to take credit for all the good things that happen in this country, and they always try to shift the responsibility of the bad things on the Republicans. You're gonna see it firsthand. But I digress. I want to show you this clip of the CNN, my favorite show, the Abby Phillips show, as they debate Scott Jennings over who is responsible for this. And
I do think that all sides agree that Trump's hand in this has made a difference, one way or another.
Yeah, they don't want to deal with Trump. He's been perfectly clear. He has not vacillated about his message that if they don't send our people back, there's going to be hell to pay. And thank God he has been on that message and he has not wavered from it. He's not stepped back from it. And I don't really care, candidly, who the president is when all this happens. I just want him back. I mean, I've worn this yellow ribbon out here every night for over a year because I think there's so many families who are just devastated. They're hurting. They don't know what the situation is. And we need this to come to an end. There are Americans involved here. Look, I think we're going to end up paying a very heavy price in this deal. I'm sure some terrorists are probably going to wind up being let out of jails. I don't particularly like that. But to settle this, to get peace and to get our people back, I think it took Trump winning the election and being clear-eyed about it to make it happen.
Scott,
if you were Iran or any terrorist with any level of responsibility, what you have witnessed is that the Biden administration has tried to, at various points, put shackles on Israel. You can say they've been strong on it, but they have at times tried to put rhetorical and military shackles on Israel. There is no expectation that Trump would put shackles on anybody, and there is some expectation that he might just get involved himself if they don't send our people back. So I do think this was the essential element to getting this over the finish line, and I hope it happens right now. A great nation, a superpower, does not permit its people to be held and treated like this for as long as we have. I don't think Donald Trump wants to be taking over a country that was willing to permit that kind of behavior by these thugs and terrorists. And so I think that's why he was clear-eyed in his statements, and I think that's why they're responding.
All right, everyone.
Look, this is our future, guys. This is the portrait for Donald Trump's 47th as the 47th president. This is his portrait. This is what he chose to do. That man went from pictures about in the Fulton County jail, not jail. I forgot where he took the picture, or his first picture. Now he's taking the same picture in the White House. This, what a timeline! What a timeline indeed. And this is what people are looking forward to. Not even president yet. Technically, he's not even president yet, and he's already getting the things that he promised on getting done. Let's look at this story real quick as a sidebar. The FDA bans controversial dye found in thousands of food. Red 3, I believe, right? Red dye 3. A synthetic dye linked to cancer in animals will be banned in food and drinks in the USA. And I was on Instagram scrolling, right? And I saw a meme where they'll say 1959. Oh, nothing's wrong with red dye 3. 1980s. Nothing's wrong with red dye 3. 2000s. Nothing's wrong with red dye 3. 2024, 2025. Red eye 3 linked to cancer concerns. What a world we live in. And many people don't think the same thing could be with vaccines, but I digress. That was a sidebar conversation. It wasn't meant to take up the whole thing, right? And I want to still talk about the Israel stuff, but I think you guys get the point about the Israel stuff, because we're going to start talking about Biden, because Biden's going to talk about how he's leaving a stronger America. And I'm going to give another example of Trump's negotiation style. And many people warned this. Bank CEO from Jamie Dimon talked about, hey, look, you should read his Art of the Deal. Because if you read Donald Trump's book, Art of the Deal, you understand exactly how he goes into negotiations. And here's an example of this.
Well, we need Greenland for national security purposes. I've been told that for a long time, long before I even ran. I mean, people have been talking about it for a long time. You have approximately 45,000 people there. People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right to it. But if they do, they should give it up, because we need it for national security. That's for the free world. I'm talking about protecting the free world. You don't even need binoculars. You look outside, you have China ships all over the place. You have Russian ships all over the place. We're not letting that happen. We're not letting it happen. And if Denmark wants to get to a conclusion, but nobody knows if they even have any right, title, or interest. The people are going to probably vote for independence or to come into the United States. But if they did do that, then I would tariff Denmark at a very high level.
All right, so that's the promise. That's the consequence, right? Let's look at the result. right? Intentions versus result. Because the media, liberal media, the Democrat, aka the Democratic defenders, they'll attack Trump. Oh, he's trying to expansionist, his imperialism. He's trying to take over countries with force. No, he's laying out the terms. Say, hey, this is what I want. Here's what's going to happen if I don't get what I want. Since President Trump announced tariffs to Denmark, if they didn't release Greenland, the Danish government now says it's entirely up to the people of Greenland if they want to join the United States. The art of the deal. This has always been Trump's MO. But the media wants you to paint him as some extremist. Trump is not an extremist merely because of the fact that he's not an ideologue. He doesn't have a preferential kind of policy positions. He's just like, yo, whatever works is what we're going to do. Like a typical businessman.
Biden presented a deal like this in May. So what's your take on what got us to this moment?
Well, tragically, the deal could have been made or struck in March, again in May, and it was rehashed or rekindled in July and in August, and Mr. Netanyahu refused. I mean, Hamas wasn't very helpful, let's be honest, but it was Mr. Netanyahu ultimately that rejected the deal. At the time, he wanted to prolong the war for political reasons. Going into the summer, he said, I should wait for the American election, see what transpires. Once President Trump was elected and became president-elect, Netanyahu sets a date, the 20th of January, inauguration date. And he extended the war for no apparent reason, for no utility, for no tangible or attainable goals for months. And so if you're asking what the game changer was, what the reason that brought him to say yes now, as opposed to the many resisting no's in previous months, it was the Donald Trump factor. It's not that Trump pressured him, it's that he's afraid of the unpredictability and transactionality of Trump that Trump is known for, that caused him to say, I better get on his good side and I should do this now.
And now it brings us to Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden said he's made America stronger and more prosperous in his farewell letter, right? As you guys know, he keeps bragging about this economy that no one seems to believe him, right? The media keeps trying to gaslight us to think that Joe Biden's economy is good. It's not good. Twisting numbers. You find out that 818,000 jobs was made up. I mean, sorry. Overstated, aka they lied about the jobs numbers. Inflation rate was transitory. Remember that? They've been saying a lot of things that as you experience it, you find out they're not true. And he keeps leading up with this lie that his economy is good. Maybe it's good for a select few people. Maybe it's good for the top 1%. Maybe the economy is good for the ultra rich and the ultra wealthy, which overwhelmingly support the Democratic Party, by the way, because most billionaires, many millionaires are Democratic voters, right? All these Hollywood actors, you think they make wages like us? You think they live in paycheck to paycheck? Hell no. But they vote Democrat though. Who got out donated? Donald Trump. Kamala Harris had $1.2 billion, I think. And she still went into debt. Trump only had $300 million for his campaign, and he still beat you guys. You have the lowest approval rate even when during Donald Trump's worst years. Joe Biden has a lower approval rate than Donald Trump after January 6th in 2021. But you still believe you're leaving this country stronger than it ever been. Okay, boy. Okay, so we're gonna go through some clips, right? I'm not gonna do too much talking here. But before we go into this, there was another statement that Joe Biden gave, and I felt like I had to mention here in this video, that he said that, hey, you guys, I'm leaving this country stronger and better than ever because I planted seeds that none will feel the effects for years to come. And one commenter, I guess, on that post said, man, I've been waiting 4 years to feel whatever you've been putting in. I think those seeds are duds. I started laughing because that is essentially Joe Biden's presidency. This is going to be the legacy of Joe Biden, and this is the legacy of Democrats. Obama tried this. There's no way in hell no one's believing Joe Biden about this. That Democrats constantly tries to take credit for all the good things that happen under the watch and governance of Republicans. But when you leave them completely to their own devices, like in California, you see the mishaps. When they can't take credit, they try to obfuscate the blame. And this is the brand of the Democratic Party. a party that wants all the credit, but none of the responsibilities, none of the accountability for when they F up. And this is one of the reasons why I don't trust Democrats, because I know the media is on their good side. The media will go, they'll rule through heaven and earth to make sure Democrats avoid get no accountability for the mistakes and decision making and the mismanagement they make.
Speaking to you tonight from the Oval Office. Before I begin, let me speak to important news from earlier today. After 8 months of nonstop negotiation, my administration, a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached by Israel and Hamas, the elements of which I laid out in great detail in May of this year. This plan was developed and negotiated by my team and will be largely implemented by the incoming administration. That's why I told my team to keep the incoming administration fully informed, because that's how it should be, working together as Americans. Speaking to you tonight.
Okay, so sorry guys, I'm still sick. I still don't feel good, but this is why we left. He's trying to be like Eisenhower right here, right? 50 years of service, right? Seemed to be on the wrong side of every issue. He was against busing. He put the what was it, the 1994 crime bill that Black Americans hate so much. He put that out, right? Every time you go through this man's history, he always seems to be on the wrong side of things.
His farewell address, President Eisenhower spoke of the dangers of the military-industrial complex. He warned us then about, and I quote, the potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power, end of quote. 6 decades later, I'm equally concerned about the potential rise of a tech-industrial complex that could pose real dangers for our country as well. His farewell address, President...
I mean, he should know he leveraged it, right? He had the FBI monitor Facebook talk about how they were pressured into censoring opinions that differ or that was critical of the Biden administration. Biden used the DOJ to prosecute his political rivals, even though the DOJ was warned time and time again not to raid Mar-a-Lago. Reports came out recently that the DOJ was someone in the DOJ, I forgot, somewhere in the FBI, somewhere up the chain, was warned not to okay the raid on Mar-a-Lago because it wasn't constitutional. I forgot. It wasn't in their capacity to do that. And the director still went through, hey, he still authorized the FBI to raid Mar-a-Lago merely as a political stunt. Reports came out now, how the truth come out to light, right? And this has always been the case. Whenever something doesn't hurt Democrats anymore, all of a sudden it's okay to think about it. The Hunter laptop story. Oh, now it's okay to think about it. The border. Oh, now it's okay to talk about it. Yeah, the border really did hurt Democrats. Oh, now you want to admit it. Now you want to have the conversation out in the open after you already suffered the consequence.
I'm equally concerned about the potential rise of a tech-industrial complex that could pose real dangers for our country as well. Americans are being buried under an avalanche of misinformation and disinformation, enabling the abuse of power. The free press is crumbling. Editors are disappearing. Social media is giving up on fact-checking. The truth is smothered by lies told for power and for profit. We must hold the social platforms accountable to protect our children, our families, and our very democracy from the abuse of power. I'm equally concerned.
And that's what social media represents. Social media is what the free press was before it got centralized control and power. Because most media companies are left-wing, right? Should we play it's only 16 seconds. Let's play the Pelosi clip.
We do enact an 18-year term limit, time and term, for the strongest ethics reforms for our Supreme Court. We need to ban members of Congress from trading stock while they're in the Congress.
Joe Biden's reminding everybody why they voted against the Democratic Party. Because the Democratic Party finished gaslighting you to believe that this man was mentally fit. And then when it didn't hurt him anymore, the White House, now the White House aides want to talk. Yeah, Joe Biden's just a walking corpse. Joe Biden's been like this 3 months since he ran in, or since he took the office. 3 months in, and it was already noticeable that he wasn't cognitively all there. And when the American people, majority of them already speculated that Joe Biden was mentally unfit, the media sat there with a straight face and gaslighted you. And then when all this information comes out a year later, no, not even a year later, the last few months of 2024, they want to pretend, damn, we should have been more curious enough to. No, you don't need, like, Americans can see that he was mentally unfit for president. You just didn't want to deep dive or look into it because you're scared they would confirm what Americans already believed about Joe Biden. And this is why I gaslight us not to have that perception. Oh, it's cheap fakes. Then when the debate happened, all the Americans, all their preconceived notions about Joe Biden was confirmed on that debate stage.
My eternal thanks to you, the American people. After 50 years of public service, I give you my word. I still believe in the idea for which this nation stands. A nation where the strength of our institutions and the character of our people matter and must endure. Now it's your turn to stand guard. May you all be the keeper of the flame. May you keep the faith. I love America. You love it too. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you for this great honor.
Hey, y'all welcome, bro. Hey, Joe Biden's welcome, bro. Hey, I'm done. I'm done talking. I'm done covering it. I said what I said. It'll be remembered for all the wrong reasons. I digress. But I don't think I have much to add on there. I think we all got a good sentiment about Joe Biden, his legacy, the future, the past, what we're leaving, where we're going. And this farewell just validates all the reasons why I voted personally for Donald Trump, why my wife voted for Donald Trump, why half of my wife's family voted for Donald Trump, is that we know, hey, look, we want effectiveness. Joe Biden had that proposal since May of 2024, and he wasn't able to execute on it. Trump comes in, not even president, and the deal gets done, being named a key factor into that. And everyone and their mama, all the Democrats are trying to give credit to Joe Biden. How did that make sense? You had years to do it on your own. You had a whole year to do it on your own. But all of a sudden, they want to come to the table. Now they want to agree. Qatar, Egypt, now they want to come to the table. Why? Because they know who's coming. And that's what Americans voted for Donald Trump for. Because we don't see Donald Trump as some ideologue. Like, we just see it as hey, this is a guy who just want to get stuff done, and he's going to go with the most effective option, the most effective approach. Everything's negotiable. Right? Because if you're an ideologue, you won't be known as transactional. And this is why I laugh when the left keeps trying to paint him as a Nazi, as an extremist. This is why it don't land anymore, because people started realizing there's a method to this man's madness, and it gave us good outcomes. Because in this day and age, I think the main reason why many people voted for Donald Trump is that they're tired of the Democrats' intentions, and they wanted more outcomes. They want better outcomes. And Trump, between all the three candidates that ran, between Kamala Harris, between Joe Biden, and himself, Americans believe that Trump will give us the better outcomes. And he's proving that right now, and he's not even in office yet. From banning food dyes. They're banning food dyes because they know what's coming. Peace deals are being negotiated because they know what's coming. And the mainstream media had the gall to laugh at Donald Trump when he said, oh, I can get a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia even before I get into the office. People laughed at that. The left mocked Donald Trump for that. But who's laughing now? Shoot, we still got, at the time of me recording this video, we still got 4 days left. Who knows what's in store? But I digress. I'll leave it at there. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be interested to hear what you guys are thinking. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate you guys watching the end of the video. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.